Hey YouTube, I'd like to talk about the resurgence of McCarthyism. Well, back in the past when it did start, there was actually like a good reason for it because America and Russia were actually at war with another and were at a Cold War. So, there was a lot of infiltration and attempted infiltration and spies from the Russians, and I'm sure it still is to some extent, but it was a much bigger issue back then, and people were pretty much fluffing it off like it wasn't one. Whereas now, the people who are fluffing it off like actually have a good reason for it because the only reason a lot of this stuff, this Russia stuff, started getting into the media was because Trump started winning and he beat Hillary in the election. And they're, you know, for months and months and months, they told people you have no chance of winning. Trump has no chance of winning. And you know, once he did win, they didn't really have an explanation for it. So, they didn't really want to say, hey, we were wrong, and it was, we were doing our polls incorrectly and this and that. So they're going to say, well, the Russians influenced our democracy. And just right there, they must think that the majority of people are pretty stupid because how did they influence your democracy? Like, they don't really go into detail, right? You know, Canadians influence your democracy. The English influence your democracy, right? People made videos, YouTube videos. Sargon of Akkad influenced your democracy. There was many influences, and they act like uncovering information, even if the Russians did do it, is a bad thing. Whereas it uncovered Hillary Clinton and Podesta's corruption. People should know these things. These are important things to know, and you want to know everything you can about your political officials, right? I can understand there's some things you want to keep secret, but when it comes to sheer corruption, like what's going on in the Hillary Clinton Foundation, and her subordinates, the public should know this. And same goes with Trump. People should see his tax records, and that should be accessible. And there should be open transparency on both sides. But this whole Russia thing is just clearly a big red herring. It's just, hey, look over here. And the only reason it still has steam is because people are very ideological, and they don't want to kind of you know I don't understand why liberals often continue to go with this narrative when you know if they actually just looked into it, and a lot of them do, they see there is no actual substantial evidence, but a lot of them just hate Trump to the extent where they don't even care. They're just going to believe whatever negative story there is about them, like that whole Pissgate thing that happened recently. Like, you have a lot of logical-minded people that believe that right away, and you're like, you know, it's really interesting to see the effects that ideology plays on even the most intelligent people. They can be influenced dramatically, and our emotions will really harbor our logical thinking. So we really got to like try to separate our natural tendencies to hate certain people, and separating that from what they're actually saying, and maybe what they're saying could be important. They could have some validity to it. But we need to stop just pushing this whole Russia narrative because, first of all, they're a very powerful nation, right? They have just almost as many nukes as America, and they're not the ones, really causing a lot of issues surrounding the world. Like, if you really look at it, the majority of the issues being caused in the Middle East and that, like, it has ties to America, right? And also to Russia, but a lot of it is to America. And, you know, you can make a much better case that America is a threat to the world's security compared to Russia. Second of all, China is probably a much bigger threat to America than Russia is. Russia wants Crimea and a few other things that we could pretty much care less about, whereas China, it wants Taiwan. And you see what happened when Trump made a call to Taiwan. Obama, all these people were giving these people weapons. China didn't give a shit because China knows they can wipe out Taiwan immediately. But if America were to get good relations with Taiwan and support them, now China was not going to be able to get that, bring them back into their empire, because that's essentially what they want. And also with North Korea, you know, that nation should have fallen by now if it wasn't for China. And if they're getting more and more hostile, and if they do something to South Korea, America and other people is South Korea's ally, and they're going to have to go in to help. And if you go in to help South Korea, you're fighting North Korea, whose ally is China. So, there are big, there are things that people aren't really paying attention to that are also a huge issue. And Russia is the least of it. We need to, if anything, try to work with Russia, and and America especially needs to try to stay out of the Middle East and stop trying to intervene and establish democracies in countries that do not want democracy, because all of these people, they don't want it, and maybe they're not smart enough for it. Who knows? But you know, going into countries and expecting them to value the things that you value is foolish. So we need to just come up with a better strategy about these things, and just be smarter about it. Have a good day.